Welcome to the Breakers' iconic resort hotel in West Palm Beach, Florida. The AFC Coaches Breakfast was this morning, and the Denver Broncos' Sean Payton talked about the three ex-49ers on his defense: DJ Jones, a defensive tackle, Dre Greenlaw, and Talanoa Hufanga. The latter two both signed to Denver this offseason.
From a communication standpoint, I mean, you talked about it. Part of the middle of the defense was DJ. Right behind him, Trey and Funga. Right through the middle of our defense, getting tough. And look, the irony is DJ shared a locker room with these guys and knows them very well. And so from a leadership and a football IQ standpoint, that was important.
It's important to have all three of those guys kind of go. They should have an easy adjustment period.
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime, it depends on the player. I think, look, the transition always is significant, and yet I think these guys will have a familiarity with certainly some teammates, and then also whether it be coaches, there always seems to be a couple ties in each staff. But we were excited on Wednesday. I'll be honest with you. We felt we got better.
With Hufanga, what does he bring that was missing last year?
Well, he's a great communicator. He's super intelligent. I think his experience, and there is a toughness about the way he plays. Sometimes you can be a second responder, sometimes a first responder, and he appears first a lot on screen. And there's a style to how he plays. And look, part of that style, because he's so physical and so quick to support, he's had a handful of injuries, but there's a toughness to his game, and you guys will like him. Something about him when you meet him and you visit with him. So that was a big get. We felt excited about that.
Was there a common thread with him and Greenlaw coming over from the 49ers that attracted you to those guys?
Well, I think that was a little bit more coincidence. Yeah, I mean, there were positions, they were kind of must positions for us, and yet to fill two of them from one team, and I think one may have helped the other too. Sometimes that can happen, but I can't speak for them. If there is a common thread, though, those two guys are tone setters in how they play.
Agency?
It's their player
Yeah.
at that time.
Okay. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for us, nothing can happen until that Wednesday time frame. And so, man, I'm glad he chose us.
Were you aware in the moment that, hey, he agreed with us, but...
No, the only discussions that are being had at that time are agent to GM. No, like I said, I'm just glad, when the decision was finalized. You wait on a few of these guys, and you don't know all the specifics, but those guys are excited about being in Denver.
He's coming off the Achilles.
Yep.
He plays basically one half of football. Are you at all surprised at the level of competition that you had to sign him?
We thought he was going to be highly sought after. In other words, I think the injuries maybe played a little part as to how he became a free agent. Otherwise, he'd have never hit the free agent market. He's someone that's contract is redone. So I don't think I should say nothing surprises you anymore, but we felt like there would be. These guys are young players when you look at their pitch count and their age, and then you study the injuries themselves. I wasn't really surprised that there would be other teams that heavily involved.
Does that have a reflection on the depth of the draft at that inside linebacker?
I would say it's a fair question. I think it's a little bit harder. I don't know that it's draft related, I think it's a little bit harder to say. We found her starting inside backer, whether it's a Mike or Will. It's harder to say that about a rookie. There's certain positions that, and that's not to say that a rookie can't come in and do it, but I think it's harder to project that. That factors into it, but I also think we felt like it was a pretty lean year in regards to free agency at that position, just relatively speaking. But there is depth in the draft.
When there's a deep position in the draft, maybe take quarterbacks off the board, does it affect how you approach thinking about getting one? Oh, well, maybe in the second or third, that sort of thing.
Yeah, when you're kind of putting this cube together, part of it is understanding what's available in the draft. Well, what do the odds suggest? It's deep at interior defensive line, for instance. Those things can affect maybe what you do in free agency, and you're looking to click the last click and have it all fit and get the most out of the players you sign or draft. So it would be important to know, as we're making free agent decisions, where the draft is depth-wise at certain positions. That I do think exists.
Now, it's absolutely worth noting that the Broncos had the #1 defense in the NFL last season, and the 49ers, well, they really struggled. They're down to number 26 and number 29 against the run. Now, most of that happened without Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga because they were injured, but when you look at the attractiveness of free agency destinations for a defensive player, especially in the case of Dre Greenlaw, because the 49ers were heavily pursuing him, they offered him more than the Denver Broncos. If you look at it that way, Denver is the more desirable destination. In fact, one of the keys for the 49ers this offseason and moving forward is to turn themselves back into a destination defense, a place where guys want to go sign and play. The 49ers were in that position for several years. You saw defensive linemen come to the Chris Kasarik D-line factory, guys like Arden Key, Charles Amenahu. 49ers are in no position to gain reclamation projects right now, and obviously they weren't in position to re-sign Dre Greenlaw, even though they offered him more money than the Denver Broncos. They've got to work themselves back up into a defense of top stature. And it's really interesting because they definitely were that, and as Sean Payton said, it's not a coincidence that Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga and DJ Jones were all in that same locker room with the 49ers. There definitely was something gained throughout those really good years for San Francisco that Denver is now going to benefit from, especially right up the middle of the defense. You talk about building defenses from the inside out. Well, DJ Jones, defensive tackle, Dre Greenlaw, Mike linebacker, and Talanoa Hufanga, a safety who likes to throw his head into the fray, right? He's always in the middle of the action, as Sean Payton talked about. Those guys do comprise the middle of a defense. Next up here from West Palm Beach, John Lynch will talk at the NFL owners meetings, and I'll relay all that he says after, maybe from the beach, maybe from the pool. We'll see. All I know is that I'm not quite used to the humidity here. It is a toasty one in South Florida.